YouTube, it's Taylor again from Taylor Talks Tales. Got a book review for you today, and it's going to be on a classic, The October Country by Ray Bradbury. I read this back in October because October Country, and I've always wanted to do that. This has been on my TBR list for like 12 years or something like that. Like, I've been wanting to read this book for like a ridiculous amount of time, because I've read Something Wicked This Way Comes and The Halloween Tree, both by Ray Bradbury, and enjoyed them both, because I'm a big Halloween fan and big just autumn fan and all of that. I haven't really read too many of his short stories, which I think he's actually very well known for. I tried to read Dandelion Wine over the summer, and I just wasn't quite feeling it. I don't think I was quite in the mood for it. So that's sort of on my, I'll go back eventually when I'm more interested in, you know, a summary type book. But I decided to sit down and read this. And overall, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. And I think sometimes with short story collections, it is sort of difficult to rate them, because ultimately there's usually going to be a couple stories you don't like and a lot of stories that you really like. There are a couple of short story collections that I've rated 5 out of 5 stars because like everything just flowed beautifully and it was like perfect. And then with this one, the stories I really liked, and there were a couple stories at the beginning that I just didn't really care for. Like, I think one was the dwarf, and there was like one where they go and explore like these catacombs in Mexico, and for whatever reason I didn't really care for that story that much, but I did enjoy the imagery and the description of it. And then there's like there's like 1 or 2 sort of in the middle that I felt like slumped a bit. But the ones that were good were really good. Like Jack in the Box, oh boy, that one is, I really enjoyed that one. The Crowd was good. Touch with Fire, there's just a lot. And of course there's the Jar, which I think is probably inspired by this cover. Anyway, I don't want to spoil too many things, but essentially some of the stories, they're just very well described. Ray Bradbury does have a way with words, and you just really like these descriptions and just get like really sucked in. And most of them do have some air of like creepiness to them. A couple of them didn't, but a lot of them, like the Crowd, for instance, which is basically about this guy who like gets almost touched with death, and there were like these crowd of people behind, you know, just like around him when he got taken to the hospital, and then he just notices the crowd and starts becoming obsessed. Because I do think there's like, you know, some of the themes in here are, you know, being obsessed or like getting sort of touched by something eerie and kind of exploring that. There's definitely an eeriness to this. I wouldn't necessarily say all of these are horror per se. A couple of them leaned more towards that. Some of them were more mystery, and some of them were just kind of interesting stories. And some of them had a twist at the end, and some of them didn't. There's actually one, I'm blanking on what I think it's called The Emissary. Yeah, that's the one where there's like a dog that essentially goes out and explores for this boy who's not allowed to leave his house. He's, you know, bedridden because he's really sick. And then that one just kind of reminded me almost of like something that you would find out of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the way it ended. And I really liked that one as well. So overall, I definitely recommend it. It was fun for an October read. I don't think it was as October-y as I wanted it to be, and I know that sounds very strange, but I feel like I was expecting it to be very similar in tone to Something Wicked This Way Comes and The Halloween Tree, which is just all about Halloween. And then this one wasn't as much, because some of the stories like took place in the summer or didn't really have that like fall aesthetic, but a couple of them did. So overall I did enjoy it. Would read again. I would probably next time around when I reread it, if I do reread it, just skip the stories that I know I didn't really care for, which were only a couple. I'd probably say out of the whole collection, there are probably maybe like four or 5. There's like 2 I really didn't like, and then 3 that were sort of a little meh, and then everything else was great. And there's like a lot of stories in this one. Let me check. I think there's at least like 20. I think there's 20, something like that. Or at least in the edition I read, because this is actually, like, I own this one, but I had actually checked it out at the library because I couldn't find this book. It was floating around somewhere, but I've got it. And I'm glad I own it because I'll definitely be checking it out. So if you're looking for a good short story collection, you know, pick this up. Ray Bradbury, can't really go wrong with him. I definitely want to check out some more of his short stories because he's really well known for that, and I've been wanting to read his Martian Chronicles for quite some time. So I know that those will have a bit of a different feel, of course, because it's going to be like dealing with Mars and stuff, but I'm still looking forward to it. So thank you so much. I think this is probably going to be a little bit of a shorter review, but it's kind of tricky to, you know, with the short story collection to, you know, give away too much. So thank you so much for watching my video. Please comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know if you've read this. If so, what was your favorite story in this? Because I really liked Jack in the Box and The Emissary, I think, were my two favorites. So let me know what you think. And, you know, again, any tips on improving my videos, I'm always here to improve. So thank you so much. Have a great day and happy reading.